This is Sergeant Investigator Jeremy Liberts with the Morris County Sheriff's Office. And the date is 11/23/2012. The time right now is 14:59 hours. I'm currently in the interview room at the Morrison County Sheriff's Office, and currently present with me is Byron
David Smith.
Okay, hold on one second, Byron.
Okay.
Byron, can you tell me your full name, please?
Byron David Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I live at 143.
Hold on, Byron.
Okay.
What is your date of birth?
11 June 48.
So, say it again, I'm sorry. You said 11 June 48.
Yeah.
So, June 11th, 1948? Or?
I use the military terminology, yeah. June 11th, 48.
Okay. All right. So, June 11th, 1948. That's your date of birth, correct? Okay. And, yeah, Byron, what is your home address?
14319 Elm Street, formerly 709 Riverwood.
Okay. But you live at 14319 Elm Street,
Yeah.
Off of, in the Riverwood area, correct? In Little Falls.
Elm Street.
Elm Street, Little Falls, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the zip code there?
56345.
Okay. And Byron, before I ask you any questions, you had currently been placed under arrest, Byron, today while out at your residence. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And before I ask you any questions in regards to the reason that led up to why you were placed under arrest was explained to you at the scene. Is that correct?
Because there were bodies, and that's a good reason.
Okay, yes, and that was explained to you. That's why you were placed under arrest at that time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, Byron, before I ask you any questions in regards to what had happened, I'm going to read you what's called the Warning and Consent Form. These are your Miranda warning legal rights. Have you ever heard of your Miranda warning rights?
Yeah, anybody who watches TV hears them.
Okay, so you've heard of them
Yes.
before, right? Okay. Byron, before we ask you any questions, you must understand what your rights are. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you say can be used against you in court. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Okay. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we question you and to have him with you during questioning. Do you understand that?
I understand that, and I waive that considering the circumstances.
Okay. If you cannot afford a lawyer and want one, a lawyer will be provided for you. Understand that, Aaron?
I understand that.
Okay. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand that, Byron?
I understand that.
Okay.
I may choose to skip one question or whatever. But
That's your choice, yes, by all means, Byron. And then, Byron, with your rights in mind, are you willing to talk to me at this time?
yes,
Okay. Do you have any questions about your rights that I explained to you?
it's very clear.
Okay. And you're willing to talk with me and can about any questions I have in regards to this?
Yes.
Matter? Okay. Now, Byron, I got called out to your residence today, basically on some information that something might have happened at your house either today or yesterday.
More specifically, I called my good friend Bill Anderson, who is a neighbor,
Okay.
and asked him to contact a lawyer. He wasn't able to. Apparently they're all busy today. The offices are closed.
Okay.
Since he was not able to contact a lawyer, I asked him to contact the Morrison County Sheriff's Department next.
Okay. You asked him to,
I
Bill Anderson?
I asked him to call you.
Okay. And then, now, Bill, how long have you known Bill Anderson?
Basically since he moved in. It must be 20, 25 years.
Okay.
No, maybe it's more than that. Anyway, long
For
time.
a long time, okay. How long have you lived at your residence there?
I have been physically resident since March 2009. However, it has been my home of record since the house was built in September of '66.
Okay. So you've had that place for quite a long time then,
Yep.
correct? Okay.
It has always been my home,
Mhm.
and before that we lived on the west side.
Okay. Do you live at the residence with anybody, or do you live by yourself?
I am by myself. My mother passed away 3 years ago.
Okay. Now, you said that you had talked, and you called and talked with Bill Anderson. When did you call and talk with Bill Anderson?
I first called him about 11:30 this morning.
Okay. And then when you called Bill, what did you ask him for something, is that correct?
Bill is the only person I have shared the breaking and entering series with.
Okay.
As a neighbor, I feel it's important, and I trust him absolutely.
Sure. So when you called Bill, you said this morning at about 11:30 it was, right?
I said that I had a problem, and I would appreciate it if he got a lawyer and asked him to come over to my house.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know the local lawyers very well. I
Sure.
have, almost not. But Bill seems to know everybody.
Okay. All right. And was he able to get a hold of a lawyer for you or anything?
No, he wasn't.
No.
He totally failed. He even tried Brainerd.
Oh.
And
okay.
he did find a couple, but they are only involved in, minor stuff like deeds and wills.
Sure. And just to confirm with you, it's your choice at this time that you wish to waive or have an attorney present with you while you talk to me, correct?
Yes, and if I find anything that I object to, I'll let you know. Okay. Immediately and clearly.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Now, how many times did you talk with Bill Anderson about this?
Oh, there was just today?
Yeah.
Today, we had back and forth phone calls. There must have been 10 or 12 when he was calling me with the latest. I was calling him with, okay, that didn't work. What next?
Okay. You initially told Bill that somebody broke into your house. Is that correct?
Oh, Bill knew that somebody broke into my house, yes. Okay. He knew that there was a sequence going. He didn't know that it had happened again.
Okay.
And I tried to be very non-specific, but he could guess.
Okay. Did you specifically tell Bill that you had maybe shot somebody that broke into your house or anything? Or?
No, but okay. Bill knows that I was having a major problem and that I might do something. Okay.
So you've actually been having problems with people breaking into your house, is that correct?
The same people, the same pattern. It goes back a long time.
Okay. When did that start? When did it start where people
First
were
time
breaking
it
into your
happened
house?
was, I'm guessing, 12 to 15 years ago, and there was a sheriff's report on it when they broke into the garage and tore up a bunch of packing cases, threw glassware on the floor to break it, and stole a bunch of clothing.
Okay.
Now, I try to not be sexist, but when somebody steals clothing and ignores the tools, I tend to think it's a woman.
Okay. What kind of clothing did they take? You remember that time? Was it women's clothes or men's clothes? Something different?
Military clothes, the kind of unisex stuff that...
Sure.
And not only that, but the following week, Ashley Williams was seen wearing my Flightline military jacket from the Air Force to school.
Okay. Ashley Williams, you said?
Yeah.
And how do you know this Ashley Williams?
I've never met her.
Okay.
Except maybe now, and then it's not sure, but I've never met her.
Okay. But you heard that somebody saw her, or you saw her?
Bill has close relationship with the schools because he does fundraising, and he asked, and this was reported to him.
Okay.
However, since it was gossip and rumor, it wasn't official evidence.
Okay. So you heard, Bill told you that he saw Ashley Williams potentially wearing some of your clothing?
He didn't see her. He heard that she had been wearing it.
Okay.
And you should check this with him because I want to be totally accurate on, but I assume he saw her wearing it to the bus.
Okay. And this was like a camouflage jacket?
No.
Cold shirt?
I was in 68 through 72, and at that time everything was olive drab. And at that time, they stitched the reflective stripes on the coats for use on flight lines. Shortly after that, they shifted to requiring vests, with the full reflective and colors and everything. Mm-hmm. So this coat, 20 years later, was very rare. It's not the sort of thing you would find laying around, and mine was gone, and she was seen wearing it. So there was some reasonable suspicion there. Sure. And apparently she was not in full possession of her facilities because she dropped stuff all the way home that Bill collected the next morning.
From your house?
Yeah, well, stuff that she had collected in her arms, and it was falling out of her arms on the way home.
So kind of a trail from where she had broken into?
That trail of dropped stolen stuff she was taking home.
Did that trail of broken or dropped stuff, was that in your yard at all?
Yeah, it was down the driveway.
Okay.
Leading towards their house.
So is Ashley Williams a neighbor of yours? Your guys's?
My closest neighbor.
Okay. So she lives, what, right next door?
At the end of my rather large yard.
Okay. Okay.
So, yes, they are my closest neighbor.
Okay. Do you know Ashley's parents at all?
I have tried very hard to avoid them.
Okay.
They're nasty people.
Okay. You've never gotten along with them?
I have avoided not getting along with them.
Mm. Okay.
They have misused and abused too many other people I know for me to have anything to do with them. I limit myself to being polite.
Okay.
You know, if I see them by the mailbox, I'll say good morning. Mm-hmm. I've never intentionally talked with them about anything, except last year. The spruce in the neighborhood have a fungus disease. And I went to the door and gave them a Xerox copy of how to identify it and how to treat it, just because getting rid of an infection in the neighborhood's a good thing. Mm-hmm. There was no social interaction. They took the paper and shut the door.
Okay. Okay.
But
and this Ashley, do you know where she's still currently living at home with her parents?
She's in and out a lot.
Okay. So you've seen her there recently?
I haven't seen her. I know what her car looks like.
Okay.
Because Bill pointed it out to me.
Okay.
Bill watches everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he pointed out her car, and I see it there occasionally.
Okay.
Occasionally meaning like several times a month, maybe a couple times a week.
What kind of car does she drive?
It's a white Alby thing with an ugly, coming apart, green vinyl roof.
Okay. Was she ever there with a boyfriend that you saw, or another boy, or?
They're too far away from my house to see.
Sure, I was just wondering if you ever saw that. Okay. And so you've heard and suspect that Ashley Williams had been breaking into your place on different occasions. Is that correct to say?
Yes.
Okay. And now, in particular, you had an incident that happened just recently at your house, a break-in, correct?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
That would be about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. And
the break-in occurred by kicking in the panel on the basement door.
Okay.
The paneling around the door was shattered, and then they reached through that panel to open up the deadbolt and the knob lock.
Okay. Were you home at the time this happened?
No.
Okay. Do you know if this happened during the day or at night?
Very specifically. I left to go shopping at St. Cloud 11:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And when I came back at 6 o'clock, the place had been thoroughly gone through with the missing items as shown in the report.
Okay.
So I know for sure it happened exactly when I was gone. And it's right down to within, 5 or 6 hours, which makes me suspect that it was someone who saw me come and go.
Okay. Okay.
Beyond that, the following day, on Sunday, I was at the adjacent property to the north, which I bought as an investment. Mm-hmm. I had not been there since Thursday. Sometime between Thursday and Sunday afternoon. The break-in at my house was exactly Saturday afternoon. Sometime between Thursday and Sunday afternoon, the garage sidewalk door was kicked open, brutally, frame shattered, lock ruined. Inside the garage, boxes were opened and tipped and dumped. I wasn't keeping anything of value there, so there was nothing to steal, but the place was made a mess of. Then there's a basement door on the southwest corner of that house. The basement door was kicked in, again, frame shattered, lock ruined. And throughout the house, storage closets were left with the doors open and drawers were left half open.
Okay. Did you call and report that incident, Byron?
I turned in a written report to Jamie asking him to investigate.
Okay.
I have not had confirmation that he investigated, but I assume he did.
Okay.
I would like to get a copy of that also. So anyway, yeah, I reported the time limits that I observed and the damage that I observed and asked him to verify and document it.
Okay.
There was also a tool bag stolen. Actually ignores tools. But it looks like she wanted the bag because there were tools left alongside the bag that weren't taken. But it was a nice bag.
So you suspect a female part stole it?
It's the same pattern all the way through.
Okay. Okay. No.
And that's years later after the previous one.
Sure.
So the house was thoroughly gone through, but there was nothing there.
Okay.
It's an empty house that I'm restoring after being vandalized this past spring.
Okay.
But that's a different story.
Yeah.
Unrelated.
Now, you told me at your residence today that your house had just been broken into. Can you tell me about that?
Okay. I had not gone to anyone for Thanksgiving. I am somewhat uncomfortable with other people's family holidays. Mm-hmm. Some people enjoy it and it helps them feel home-like. I feel like a little out of place. It's not the kind of social thing I do.
Okay.
So I was staying at home, and just because there wasn't anything big happening, I was in the basement in my favorite reading chair reading a paperback.
Mm-hmm. Was this on Thanksgiving Day? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
This would have been about 12 o'clock, the exact time on the videotape. I mean, on the DVR.
So, I'm sorry, 12 o'clock noon on
Yes.
Thanksgiving Day, which was just
Yesterday.
yesterday, correct? Okay, on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, the house is a very quiet house. It's got electric heat, and it's a very quiet house. And I hear someone rattling the upstairs door by the garage where everybody comes and goes. This is wrong. You know, you shouldn't be rattling doorknobs without at least ringing the doorbell first. So I set down the book and I'm paying attention. And the chair is between the bookshelves. And I see a shadow go past the picture window. Then somebody's rattling the basement door trying to get in. But it also is locked and deadbolted. And then I see the shadow in front of the picture window for maybe half a minute or a minute, like they're trying to see what they can see inside. Okay, this is getting unhappy. And then the shadow leaves, and I hear somebody walking across the deck. It's got the wooden planks, so you can hear people walk on it. And then somebody was rattling the upstairs door. And I'm getting seriously stressed because somebody wants in, and they're trying to sneak in, and it's happened before. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there hoping they go away. It's about a minute of silence, and I hear a glass window broken, which I later found to be the northwest corner bedroom window.
Okay. Where were you at the time in the house when you heard that?
I was sitting in the same chair.
In the basement?
In the basement.
Okay.
I consider it my reading chair.
That chair, is that the one that's right off from the steps, the bottom steps?
Yeah.
Or? Okay. What color is that chair?
It's a reddish brown.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry.
And one wing arm is broken, but I don't use the wing arms. So.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm sitting in the chair. Now, for the past month, my life has been very unhappy. I haven't slept very well. In fact, I'm lucky to get one good night of sleep a month. And I'm keeping everything locked up all the time because I'm being victimized again and again and again. And in the past couple of weeks, I've gotten into the habit of carrying my guns with me inside my house because I don't know who's going to break in when. Well, it just happened. So I'm sitting there, and I hear the steps come down the hallway, turn around, and come down the stairs. These are people who have stolen my guns. I figure they're willing to use guns if they steal guns. And I decide that I've got a choice of either shooting or being shot. Which is sort of what I came to when I started carrying it with me. Now, I've been, this past month I felt very threatened.
Okay.
Inside my own home. And the guy came down the stairs and I shot him.
Okay. When they, you said you heard the window break upstairs, correct? You were downstairs. You heard footsteps down the hallway, right?
Yep.
So that would be from the bedroom, and then whoever. Do you think somebody entered in your house through that broken window?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, that's how they made entry.
Because it was easier than the deadbolted doors.
Okay.
And I replaced the panel that had been easy to kick out.
Okay.
So he just decided to break a window instead.
How many footsteps did you hear? Did it sound like one person, two people?
It was definitely one person.
Okay.
Definitely one person.
Okay.
And after I shot him, I sat down in this chair, and I was just tingling. Adrenaline. I hate adrenaline. And my blood was pounding in my ears, and I just wanted to calm down more than anything else. And maybe, it's hard to judge the time, 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, I was just sitting there with the blood pounding in my ears. And I hear more footsteps coming down the hallway, and somebody else starts down the stairs. And thinking back on it, what happened was, everybody has red buttons. Everybody has sore spots. And I've known since grade school that being ganged up on is a sore spot with me. I just couldn't think. I didn't think. I wasn't thinking. I was just, they're ganging up on me. So I killed her too.
Okay.
Same way, except the first shot, she tumbled. And I walked over to finish her off. It was a new Mini 14 that I bought to replace the one that had been stolen. And it jammed. My main use for it is muskrats. They destroy the bank. And once in a while a beaver, they destroy the trees. That's the reason I have it. It's a tool. And it had jammed out on the shoreline, which is why I had the 22 with me. And it jammed, trigger clicked, and she laughed at me. I just pulled out the 22 and shot her and shot her.
Okay.
Then I sat down again, and I don't think I did anything else for an hour.
When, what time did this happen at yesterday with these two that you ended up shooting them?
It would have been about 12 o'clock.
So 12 o'clock noon yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Okay.
I spread the carpets over the blood.
Okay. When, you said first the male party came in the house after breaking the window in the northeast corner bedroom, correct? And then you heard the footsteps coming down the hallway.
Yeah.
Right. Then immediately Did he turn and come down the stairwell, or did he go in any other rooms
He
first?
came directly down the stairs.
Okay. Then you heard footsteps coming down the stairs, is that correct?
Yes, and then I saw his feet, and then I saw his legs, and when I saw his hips, I shot.
Okay. All right. Did he, when you shot, what gun were you using at that time?
The Mini 14.
Okay. And you had that with you in the basement when you were sitting in your chair reading? Is that correct?
It was over by the stereo. But
Okay.
when I heard the footsteps, I stepped up, and it was maybe 5 or 8 steps away.
Okay. Do you leave that gun in the basement loaded, sitting with you?
No.
Okay. Did you have
Except for the past couple weeks.
Okay.
The normal location for it is in the closet upstairs in the northeast corner.
Okay.
That's where my parents kept it. I kept it there too. It's the easiest place to get if you see a muskrat in the river.
Okay. Okay.
Home defense has never been an issue until recently.
So was your Mini 14 rifle, it was what it was, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that sitting in the basement loaded at the time this male party broke into your house?
I always keep it loaded.
Okay. Okay. How many rounds do you keep in the gun?
Since it jammed 3 or 4, that's all it'll hold maximum. They sell them now with small cartridges.
Okay. So you figure you had about 3 or 4 rounds in the gun?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said you also had a 22, is that a revolver, pistol? What kind of gun was that?
It's a revolver.
Okay. Is that how many shots is that?
It's a 9-shot.
Oh.
It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But,
what make is that gun?
I don't know.
The 22 revolver, do you know?
I bought it in Utah, would have been about 75 when a friend of mine and I were target practicing.
Okay. Can you describe it to me? What color is the hand grip on the gun, on the 22?
It's a wood hand grip, somewhat dark, and a standard blued finish.
Okay. And you said it's got a cylinder, of course, because it's a revolver?
Yeah, you pull and then rotate.
Okay. And then did you have it in a holster or a gun case or anything?
Brown leather holster.
Okay. All right.
I'd actually been wearing that inside the house somewhat regularly.
Okay. Were you wearing it at the time that incident happened, that break-in occurred?
Mm-hmm.
So you had it on your,
Yeah.
where did you have it on, you had it on your person, on your body, right?
Yeah.
Okay, where did you have it?
Right here.
Okay, you're pointing to right here. Are you, you're
It's
referring
belt
to
clip.
your,
It's belt clip.
okay,
I mean, the brown leather holster has a belt loop.
okay, so you had it
So it's
on
really
your,
out of the way.
you had it on your belt, on your right side hip?
Yes.
That's what you were pointing, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And
And was it loaded when you had it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And in fact, it was still loaded when they found it. They should have found it on the closet shelf upstairs.
Okay, okay.
If not, they should pick it up because I don't want to leave it laying loose with nobody in the house. I normally keep my guns loaded because there are no children around, no irresponsible people around.
Okay. You said you had used that 22 to shoot the female party, is that correct?
Yeah, I might have put one. I don't remember clearly whether the final shot to the man in the face was with that or not.
Okay.
I don't want to prolong the suffering. Even if I kill somebody, I don't want to leave them lay and suffer.
Okay. Yeah.
In fact, with the female, after I dragged her out of the way, she was still doing some faint gasping, and I just right there.
You're saying right there, but you're pointing your finger underneath your chin?
The chin into the cranium.
Okay.
That 22 is a pea shooter. It doesn't go through bone very well.
Okay. Just to clarify with, first off, we'll clarify with the male party.
Yeah.
He was walking down the steps after you heard him coming down the hallway.
Yeah.
He was walking down the steps to go to the basement. You seen his feet first, correct?
Yep.
And then his knees, and then his hip.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
shot
when you
him
shot?
somewhere in the hip area.
Okay. How many times did you shoot when you saw his hip coming down the steps?
It might have been twice. I think it was once, but it might have been twice.
Okay. Did this male party have anything in his hands at all when he was walking down the steps when you saw him? Or did you even see his hands at that point?
I didn't see his hands at that point.
Okay, so he's coming down the steps. You shoot twice. Can you tell me what he was wearing? What kind of clothes he was wearing?
Oh, he was dressed like a high schooler, but much too old. He fancy belt, jeans.
So he had jeans on, like a fancy belt, you said. What did he have for like a shirt or maybe a jacket on? Did you see? Do you recall?
That's blank. I'm blank on that.
Okay.
One thing of importance, his shoes came off.
Okay.
His shoes, I kicked underneath the reading chair. They're still there.
Okay, do you know what kind of shoes they are?
I checked the tread pattern on purpose. Whoever kicked in the door the previous time left their tread pattern on the door, and I brought it in to Jamie the following day.
Okay.
And he saved it in the evidence file. It had a sawtooth repeated pattern on the door, and that is characteristic of skateboard shoes. And I pointed it out to Jamie, pointing out as a piece of evidence that very few people over 30 wear skateboard shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I like them because they're the best shoe for city hiking. So I showed him a pair, showed him the tread pattern, and I said, watch for this.
Okay.
The shoes that I kicked under the chair had that tread pattern.
Okay. So those were the same shoes that the male party was wearing when he came into your house?
He was wearing them yesterday.
Mm-hmm. They
dropped off. I checked the tread pattern, and it looked to me to match the pattern on the door panel.
Okay. When did the shoes, after you shot, he's walking down the stairs, you shoot twice, you said, with the Mini 14.
People lose their balance on the stairs when they're shot.
Sure.
And he tumbled down to the floor.
Okay, is that when the shoes fell off of him?
Yes.
Okay. So now you shoot twice with the Mini 14. You hit him in the hip area? Is that where you hit him?
Yeah.
Okay. He falls down to the bottom of the steps and he's on the floor, correct?
And he's looking face up at me.
Okay. Then what?
I shoot him in the face.
Okay.
I want him dead.
Mm-hmm. Where in the face did you shoot him? Do you remember?
I don't know exactly. Somewhere near the center, and I didn't check afterwards.
Okay. And was that with the Mini 14 that you shot him in the face?
I think so.
Okay.
Now, at that point, there was a lot of blood, and I had a tarp laying by the fireplace that I was going to use to cover up the firewood.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled him on the tarp to keep so much blood from soaking into the carpet.
Okay. Well, so did you pull him over away from the bottom of the steps over towards the fireplace?
No, I spread the tarp out and pulled him onto the tarp. I might have moved him 2 or 3 feet.
Okay.
Then,
where did you move him from there, from the bottom of the steps?
It would have been slightly towards the fireplace because that's where I laid out the tarp.
Okay.
Then I just wanted it out of my sight, and I dragged him around the corner into the shop.
Okay. In the shop area that's set up in the basement, correct?
Which is exactly where you found him.
Okay. And then you said, then when did the female party come in? Was this after this had happened?
Before I said 2 to 5 minutes later, and since I was just sitting there stunned, that's the best estimate I can give.
Sure.
2 to 5 minutes.
Okay. Then you said you were sitting there stunned after this had happened. Where were you sitting?
Same chair.
In the same chair, okay. And then tell me what happened.
And the rifle was sitting right alongside me at that time, because I had just used it.
Okay, and you fired 3 rounds. Did you reload the gun?
4.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many were in it. And then I reloaded it, yes.
Okay. Did you have a box of ammunition sitting there, or did you have rounds in your pants pocket, or did you have to go get the rounds to reload it?
They were on the countertop above the stereo. I just had some loose rounds there.
Okay. How many rounds do you recall putting back in to reload the Mini 14? How many rounds did you put back in, do you remember?
The magazine only holds 3, and there was 1 in the chamber.
Okay.
So I would have put in 3,
mm-hmm.
and that's why it misfired after the first shot.
Oh, okay. So,
So the first shot, as she was coming down the stairs, as I recall, was again at about hip height, and she fell, and it repeated, except.
hold on, no. If that's okay. How many times did you shoot when you saw the hip area coming down the stairs, her hip area?
I'm quite sure it would have been only once, because it's the second shot that jams coming out of the magazine.
Okay. And did you hit her with that first shot? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was shaking pretty hard. I might have missed. I mean, it's what I would consider point-blank range, but I can't say for sure I hit her.
Okay.
She did tumble, though.
Was that after the first shot that she tumbled?
Yes.
Okay, so odds are you probably did hit her then.
Yeah. Or I might have just grazed her.
Okay. And again, you saw the feet first coming down the steps, correct?
Yes.
From the chair, and then when it reached where you could see her hip area, that's when you fired, correct?
Yes.
And obviously you didn't see
my
her
thinking,
hands at that time, or if she had anything?
My thinking was, I'm not going to ask if there's a gun.
Right.
You know, people who steal guns, I don't want to give them the chance to shoot me.
Yeah.
She could have or might not have had a gun in her hands.
Okay.
And if there's one in the corner somewhere, or if it was inside her clothing or her purse, I didn't check.
Okay. So you shot, she came tumbling down the steps, and then you went to shoot again, and the gun jammed, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened after that, after the gun jammed?
After the gun jammed, well, he fell with his head under the table. She fell immediately at the bottom of the steps. So you'll see two different patches of blood on the floor.
Okay.
And when the gun clicked, misfired, she laughed at me. And
when she was laughing at you, she was at the bottom of the steps on the floor?
It wasn't a very long laugh, because she was already hurting. But, you know, there was this smirk. And, okay, there was another red button I guess most people would have. If you're trying to shoot somebody and they laugh at you, you go again.
So when she laughed at you, how did that make you feel? Did that infuriate you or make you upset? Or
I knew that the gun had misfired previously. I take care. I was ready. And I just pulled it out, and yes, I fired more shots than I needed to.
Okay. Why did you fire more shots than you needed to, do you figure?
32 is a pea shooter, and I was very, very threatened, unhappy.
You were mad, correct?
Yes.
Okay. She had basically enraged you for laughing at you, do you think? That was part of it?
No, that was incidental. Whoever it was who was breaking into my home had been doing it for so long that I was no longer willing to live in fear.
Right. Okay. So it was kind of correct me if I'm wrong, Byron, but it seems like a combination of things that made you mad, basically, at that point. Would that be fair to say?
I was far over the edge.
Okay. When you say far over the edge, how do you mean? Are you referring to infuriated?
No.
Upset, or how are you feeling?
Normally when I do something, I justify it. Normally when I do something, I know exactly why I'm doing it and what I expect. I was reacting.
Okay. What were you reacting to, is what I'm asking.
The threat, the previous losses.
Okay.
I spent 20 years overseas. A couple years in Bangkok. Several years in Cairo. Several years in nasty sub-Saharan Africa. 3 years in Moscow, 3 years in Beijing.
Did you ever have to kill anyone before, Byron?
No.
Okay.
I was never even threatened.
Okay.
I never had anything stolen. There was never any vandalism. 20 years overseas, not one problem.
Right.
And I retired to my peaceful hometown.
Okay. Not to dwell back on it, Byron, but I almost got the story from with the female party. She had fallen to the ground. She laughed. She kind of had this laugh that you said she was when your gun misfired, and then you said you reached towards your hip, and you had the 22 on your hip, right?
I was wearing the 22. I have been wearing it inside my house for the past several weeks.
Right, and that was loaded, and it's a 9-shot. You said,
yes.
Correct? Okay. You pulled the 22, and what'd you do with it?
It was partially empty.
Okay.
So the first round, there was not any, there wasn't a bullet in for the first time I pulled the trigger. And I normally keep it that way. That's a minor safety thing. I can always pull the trigger again.
Where were you aiming? Do you recall?
Probably at her heart.
Okay. Okay. So,
and then she stopped moving.
did the gun go off when you were aiming at her heart?
Yes. Maybe the chest area. I wasn't aiming that accurately. Okay. And I would guess there were about 4 shots.
Okay. With the 22 you're saying?
With the 22, yes.
Okay.
And she stopped moving. So I grabbed her by the clothing and dragged her over onto the tarp that was in the shop.
Okay.
That's where I left her.
When you shot her, you said 4 times. One was in the chest. Where were the other 3 rounds? Do you know?
I would assume they were nearby.
Near the chest, in the chest area, or
in the upper chest?
Okay. Did you shoot her in the facial area or head area at all? Do you recall?
After she was on the tarp, she was still gasping.
Okay.
And as much as I hate someone, I don't believe they deserve pain. So I gave her a punching shot under the chin up into the cranium.
Was she still at the bottom of the stairwell when
no,
that happened?
That was over in the shop.
Oh, that was in the shop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought she was dead, and it turned out she wasn't.
Okay.
So I did a good, clean finishing shot.
Okay.
And she gave out the death twitch. First time I've ever seen it in a human, but it works the same in beaver and deer and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When she had, like I said, I asked you before if she had anything in her hands when she was walking down the steps, but you said you never seen anything in her hands. Correct?
I never saw her hands.
Right.
She tumbled before I saw her hands.
Right. And then when she tumbled down to the ground and she's at the bottom of your steps, did she have anything in her hands then? Because you could see her then. Did you notice anything?
Her hands were open, but she would have dropped anything she was carrying. And if there was something tangled up in her clothing or not, I didn't check.
Okay. Did she drop anything, though? You moved her body, so did you notice if she dropped anything?
There was nothing she dropped that I saw on the floor after I moved her.
Okay.
If it had gotten, her clothing was very tangled.
Okay.
In fact, her clothing was sufficiently tangled that in the shop, her breasts were exposed and I pulled her shirt down again.
Okay. So, Byron, she had fell to the ground. You shot once with the Mini 14.
Yeah.
She came tumbling down the steps. Now she's at the bottom of the steps. She doesn't have, you didn't notice, well, she basically didn't have anything in her hands per se as far as anything goes.
I wasn't looking at her hands.
Okay.
I wasn't looking at any of the details.
But she's laying there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and obviously you had hit her, so she's hurt, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I didn't know how well I'd hit her.
Right.
I mean, she was still laying there looking at me. She could have gotten up again for all I know.
Okay. My question, Byron, is why did you shoot again? She didn't have a weapon in her hand. She wasn't...
Actually, I don't know if she had a weapon in her hand until later. Okay. I wasn't looking at her hands.
But she was laying there, hurt. She wasn't threatening you. I'm just I have to ask.
She was threatening me.
Okay. Explain that to me.
I assumed she had a gun.
Okay.
Either inside something or in the purse or in her hand or whatever. And I'm not going to wait for her to... I'm not going to ask her if she has a gun.
Right. Understandable. Okay.
I'm not going to wait until she shows it or if she uses it while I'm looking for it.
Okay.
I had already determined that both of them, I knew they were both gun thieves. As far as I was concerned, they were totally dangerous.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. And this happened, you said, with both parties at around noon yesterday, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe 5 or 10 minutes gap between them.
Okay. What was she wearing? Do you recall what she was wearing?
Oh, yeah.
What was she wearing?
That was memorable. Tight black sweatshirt that said hard candy. When I saw that, I said, yeah, you're hard. And she is well known throughout the community as a hard case.
Okay.
Vandalism in Belle Prairie Park, etc., etc.
What
Anyway,
what color was that? You said it was a sweatshirt, correct?
it was something like a sweatshirt, black, but better than that, she had the drawstring tight around her face.
Okay. So she had the
And
hood up?
that's, oh, yes,
Okay.
and tightly drawn around to disguise any visual characteristics.
Okay.
The reason that struck me is that I had put up cameras to get visual characteristics of whoever it was, and she had already prepared herself to be not identified.
Oh.
Subsequently, thinking about it, I became very upset that all of this surveillance effort could have been for nothing because she was so well covered up. Probably wouldn't have even been good enough to take the case to court.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember what kind of pants she was wearing or shoes?
I remember the shoes because I was still checking for skateboard shoes. And she was wearing some sort of winter boot that was something else.
Okay.
But it was after that, since she was wearing some sort of winter boot, black and white, some sort of pattern, that I checked his shoes and saw the pattern there because hers didn't have the pattern. I assumed, since it was a smaller wave pattern, that it was somebody with a small foot. But then I noticed on his shoes that the outside was smooth, so it would have only printed in a small wave pattern.
Okay.
So that needs to be carefully looked at to see if he was the one who kicked in the door earlier. And I've got every reason to believe that they were working as a pair.
Okay.
Well, as she went along the hall, she rattled the doorknob on the front door. Apparently, she expected him to open the door to let her in.
Okay.
That's just a suspicion. I wasn't there watching, but why would you rattle the doorknob if you're already inside the house? Unless you're wondering why it wasn't unlocked.
So did you hear the doorknob rattle after the window was broken or before?
Oh, there were two sets. The first time around was apparently just him. All three doors, window break, walking downstairs. She showed up several minutes later. I don't know what I would have done if they'd come down at the same time.
Okay.
But that's a what if.
Okay.
But anyway, she came in maybe 5 minutes later, walked down the hall. She rattled the doorknob like she was curious why it hadn't been opened, like she expected him to let her in.
Okay.
They were obviously accustomed to working with each other.
Okay. Now, you said you put both of them on the tarp and you drug both?
No, I dragged him in on the tarp.
Yes.
And then she came down later, and I dragged her onto the tarp afterwards.
Okay, yep, back.
That was mostly just to minimize the amount of blood in the carpet, but I'm going to replace the carpet anyway.
Okay. And then you drug her back in right by him, is that correct, the mail party?
Yes.
Okay. And then,
shut the door so I didn't have to see him.
okay. And that's where they both
That's where
were
you
at
found
when we came to your house and you
Yep.
pointed out to us, showed us that's where they were, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that I did about an hour later, put my fingers to the vein to see if it was pulsing. It wasn't.
On who?
Both of them.
Both of them? Okay.
I just, sitting there in the chair, okay, I don't want to do it, but I got to check.
Okay. And you were checking to see if what?
If they were still alive.
Okay.
You know, the things that run through your mind when you're sitting there afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So after the both bodies are in that back office room that you call, what did you do? What did you go do?
That rest of that evening, the rest of that afternoon, that evening, all night long, and the next morning, I was afraid of an accomplice. Bill and I had already discussed this, that they probably had somebody in their house watching to see if I come driving home, to see if they see me, to see if anybody else is coming in. You know, hey, get out of there, there's somebody coming in. So Bill and I really thought that their parents were in on it.
Oh, okay.
This was pure speculation, but to us it seemed reasonable. And I was sitting there afraid that most likely the brass-plated bitch would nag Scott into it, and he would come over with a gun to see what had gone wrong. I was sitting there afraid. Okay. And by this noon, I had finally reached the point where nothing's happened. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. Let's get this over with.
Okay. So that's when you called Bill, right?
Yep.
And talked to Bill. But what I'm referring to is right after everything happened, okay? It's done.
I sat there for maybe 2 hours. The blood was pounding in my ears.
Where'd you sit it? Back in your...
Back in the reading chair.
Oh, okay. And then after 2 hours, then what'd you do? Were you home the entire time
I was in the basement, hiding in the basement the entire time.
Okay. Did you leave the residence at all from when the incident happened up into my arrival at your home?
No.
Okay.
That was the first time I unlocked the door.
Okay. So you were home the entire time?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I was afraid to go upstairs because I thought there might be somebody with a gun looking in the windows.
Okay.
I was hiding in that chair. You may have found my other hiding place in the back of the storeroom. When I fell over backwards, knocked my head, got that scab, I landed on my tailbone, and it hurt to sit in the same chair for more than an hour or two, so I alternated between that chair and a chair in the back of the storeroom.
Okay. And then when we came and made contact with you at your house, you went through the scene of that with us and showed us what you had, showed us where the bodies and that were. And then I told you that I had to place you under arrest at that time and take you into custody, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I did a quick pat-down search of you, is that correct?
Yes.
For safety reasons. And then you had approximately 4 shells, I believe they were the mini 14 rounds in your right pocket, is that correct? I
took the rest of them off the counter that the stereo was on and put them in my pocket in case the gun jammed in the back room or wherever, because I was carrying it with me every step.
Okay. The
entire time.
So you had approximately 4 rounds of the mini 14 in your right pocket when I did a pat-down search of you. Would that be fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there were about 4 in my pocket.
Sure.
It might have been 5.
Okay. And then in your left front pocket, I actually found approximately about the same 4 to 5 rounds of the 22 shells. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And I placed those actually on the table there in the basement next to where
yes.
we had bet. Okay.
I felt very at threat because, in my opinion, Scott Williams is semi-psychotic. He has attacked numerous people for obscure reasons. And if he was the person watching, if he was being an accomplice, he would come down with the gun to solve whatever problem he perceived. I felt totally at threat. In fact, I'm going to sleep safer tonight here.
Byron, what clothes were you wearing when this happened? When you had shot these 2 that broke into your home?
After it got dark in the late evening, I snuck upstairs to my bedroom, got these pants, and took off the brown pants, same model Wranglers, and rolled them up and stuffed them in the back corner behind the shelf that holds the stereo equipment. They're still there.
In your bedroom, you're saying?
No.
Oh.
In the basement.
In the basement?
Yeah, I just stuffed them out of the way.
Okay, so they're in the basement, and you stuffed them, you said, where? I'm sorry?
Okay. The reading chair, the stairway, the stereo equipment, around on the east side of the stereo equipment, on the north side of the room, against the north wall, which is the center divider wall of the house.
Okay.
And
is it kind of behind the stairs? That comes
it's
down?
underneath the stairs, except at the top of the stairs there's a landing. So it's underneath the landing where you enter the stairs.
Gotcha. Okay. And you said they're brown in color jeans?
Same as these, Wranglers, my standard brand, standard size. Thinking of it now, don't get confused on the analysis. Mike Lerke gave me a couple of beaver that he trapped in my yard. They're terrible on the trees. And one leg has a bunch of beaver blood on it.
Okay.
So there's both beaver blood and human blood on the fence.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Just in case anybody analyzes it.
Right, yeah. What were you wearing for shoes then?
Is that exactly the same as I have now?
Okay. Okay.
In fact, I've been wearing this 8:30 yesterday morning for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on doing some yard work.
Okay. So you were wearing shoes at the time this happened, correct?
I've been wearing all of this exactly as I have now, except I changed the pants sometime around midnight.
Okay. So you had the blue jean coat on also?
Yeah.
When this happened?
I keep the house cool.
Sure.
I always wear an overcoat. A heavy shirt in the winter time.
Okay. So you didn't change your shirt or your jacket at all then since it happened? Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
So you're saying there might be spots of blood on your jean jacket that you're wearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How about your blue shirt that you have on?
Same shirt.
Okay.
The tails were out at that time. I tucked them in now.
Okay.
So
okay.
I tucked them in when I changed pants.
Sure.
So there might be spots of blood on the tails of the shirt. I don't see any here.
Okay.
And the sleeves of the jacket would have covered the shirt.
Okay. I'm gonna need your clothes for analysis. Do you have any problems if I take possession of your clothes for any evidence reasons?
Check them for anything you want.
So you have no problem if I would obtain them right now at this point?
No.
In a little bit here?
I'd like to add something else to
Yes, you will. Okay. But you don't object to me holding onto your clothes for evidence at this point?
No.
Okay. And then...
That's plenty of spare clothes. In fact, I noticed that there is a spot of blood on the tip of the shoe.
Yeah, I'd kind of noticed. See that right here now when you're talking to me about it. So, okay. So I will have to obtain those for evidence reasons, and you're okay with that?
I understand that there are procedures to be followed, and
yes.
These procedures are all established for well-justified reasons, and I don't intend to argue with any of it.
Okay, sounds good, Byron. Byron, I would also like to ask you, would you be okay to consent to give me a DNA test? And
no problem at all.
The way I would obtain that is by a mouth cheek swab.
I'm familiar with the process, yeah.
Would you consent to giving me one of those? Yes. Okay. Okay, I would like
also, you should get a new print of that. It's healed up since Jamie took mine a couple of weeks ago.
Are you saying your thumbprint? You're
yeah.
referring to that? Okay.
Right.
Are you? Would you consent to, at this point right now, to would it be okay for us to obtain fingerprints from you also?
You've got a full set except for the thumb, but we'll do it again.
Okay. You'd be willing to do that
sure.
for us? Okay.
I mean, I've done it already.
Sure. So if that's okay with you, I would like to obtain, when I'm done talking to you here, a DNA sample from you of a cheek swabbing, mouth swabbing. Sure. That's the DNA sample. And then I'd like to obtain a full set of fingerprints from you. Are you willing to consent to me to do that?
I consent to all of that.
Okay, thank you very much.
And actually, they might come out better because I haven't been doing as much yard work the past couple of weeks.
Sure.
Actually,
no, Byron, when I got to your house, you told us also, after I placed you into custody and that, the guns were in your upstairs closet, correct?
In the northeast corner of the house. But actually there are two closets, and there was well, you can tell where the rifle goes because the wall right there is scarred from 20 years of it.
Okay, yeah.
And the handgun was in the right-hand closet.
Okay, so you had the 22 handgun in the right-hand closet, correct?
On the top shelf.
And then you had the Mini 14 in the left-hand closet.
Leaning up against the left side of the left-hand closet.
Okay, when did you put those guns in the closet?
When you were on your way.
Okay.
I don't like to have guns in sight anytime law enforcement is involved because it makes you guys nervous.
Oh, yeah. Very true, yeah.
And that's why I came to the door with my hands out and up.
Yeah. No, yes, you did, and I appreciate that. Yes. So you said, do you remember what you said? You placed those guns in there when you knew that we were on our way.
Yes.
How did you know that we were on the way to your house?
Oh, Bill called me. He said you'd be there in 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
But Bill's numbers, I know Bill enough to know that 5 or 10 minutes, and it actually took you 25.
Okay.
So I wasn't worrying about it. Bill's numbers are a little loose.
Okay, sure.
But I knew you'd come.
Sure.
So
And
I was sitting at the kitchen table watching down the driveway, which is why I was ready for you at the door.
Okay. Okay. I have to ask, Byron, after the shooting and it's done, why didn't you call law enforcement to report what happened?
For the first couple hours, I was just shaking. And I gradually shifted into worrying about another accomplice. There'd already been two. Mm-hmm. Who knew that both the brass-plated bitch and her husband were both watching. Mm-hmm. As far as I knew, the whole family was in on it. Bill and I thought the whole family was in on it. And I was pretty much afraid to do anything. Okay. An hour later, I had this screwball thought that seems sort of irrational now, but just because my Thanksgiving's screwed up, I don't need to screw up yours.
Okay. Is that kind of why you didn't call law enforcement?
That was a part of it. And I was also sitting there thinking, it's all over. It's not going to change. I can wait till tomorrow in the daylight. I might be thinking more clearly.
Okay. Okay.
I saw it as a static situation.
Sure. Okay. Byron, I think we covered pretty much what I can think of at this point.
Okay, and I haven't thought of anything else to add, but if I do, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Details like the shoes might pop up later.
Sure.
Details like making sure the DVR is turned off before tomorrow noon.
Okay. If we would have any further questions later with you, would you be okay to with talking with us?
Absolutely.
Further? Okay. Then I'm going to conclude the statement at this time. Okay. Does that sound good, Byron? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the time right now is 16:01 hours. That's good. This is Sergeant Investigator Jeremy Lewis with the Morris County Sheriff's Office, and this will be a continuation of a statement, and I'm currently in the interview room at the Morrison County Sheriff's Office. The time right now is 16:19 hours, and currently present with me is Byron Smith, and this is in reference to case file number 120007894. Now, Byron...
and it's also in reference to the case file for the previous break-in.
Correct.
And I don't know that.
For other break-ins that you had reported also, you betcha.
Okay.
Now, Byron, I had been talking with you just a little bit ago previously in regards to the matter why you had been placed under arrest, and this will be a continuation of that statement. Understood. You had been read your Miranda warning legal rights, correct?
Understand, yes.
And you know what those are? You know what your legal rights are, correct?
Yes, I know them.
Would you like me to reread them to you?
Not necessary.
Okay, you understand them. Having your legal rights in mind, are you willing to continue to talk to me at this point?
Yes, this is a reasonable continuation of an important matter.
Okay. Now, Byron, in regards to the guns, the yes. Mini 14 and the 22 pistol that was used in this this break-in at your house there. You know what I'm talking
yes.
about. Now, you had previous break-ins to your house, you said, and items had been stolen, correct?
Yes.
guns taken from your house on those incidents?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Now, these guns in particular, were they at your house when these past burglaries occurred?
they missed them, the first couple that were not break-ins, that were just thefts.
Okay.
Grand larceny, but thefts. Because at that time I was working in my backyard. But when I noticed the pattern, I started locking the doors. After I started locking the doors, the dogs had eaten well enough at the garbage pail, they kept returning.
Okay.
So the previous thefts were not break-ins because I was working in my backyard, but they knew I wouldn't be coming to the house until I turned off the chainsaw, so they felt safe.
So somebody entered into your house and then
Yes, and
guns were taken?
And they missed the guns the first time, but the second time they found 2 guns in the closet where I keep them that we discussed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And one was a stainless steel Ruger Mini 14 that had been bought approximately '89.
Mm-hmm.
A copy of the receipt's already in the file.
Yeah.
And because I had used that gun for many years, felt comfortable with it, felt safe with it, felt it met my needs, after it was stolen, within a few days I went to Walmart and bought a second one. The original was stainless steel, the new one is standard bluing.
Okay.
Okay, also there was a shotgun. They stole my father's shotgun, one that he used for 30 years, 40 years of happy hunting. Mm-hmm. It is easily identifiable. It's a, my memory slipped here, Remington 50. One in the chamber, 4 in the stock. And the characteristic of it that's readily noticeable is that the wooden stock is broken. I had it taped together with gray duct tape. Mm-hmm. It should be showing up at some local pawn shop. However, while going to a couple local pawn shops just to see what was showing up, I saw another Model 50. Actually, it turned out to be a 55, which is very close, at Iron Hills Pawn Shop, and the price was about $150. And since it was a reasonable replacement, I didn't expect to find another one very soon, I bought it. Okay. So it's in the house now, but I was not using it.
Okay. Okay. So these 2 guns that were used on the incident that you described to me, when did you recently buy these 2 guns?
The Ruger Mini 14 that I used in the incident was bought approximately 3 weeks ago, a couple days after the previous break-in, to replace the one that had been stolen.
Okay.
However, the 22 goes back to approximately 75, which I bought in Utah for target practice, and it was laying in the back of the shelf. I haven't fired it for 20 years. But since the Ruger Mini 14 misfired on me, I felt the need to carry a second gun.
Okay. So you've had the 22 pistol, the revolver, I'm sorry, for a long time?
75.
Sure. And now your previous break-ins to your house, they had, somebody didn't see it or they missed it? It wasn't stolen, correct?
That's how come I knew it. Some of the other possible neighbors who might have been nosy were made very unlikely, because in the back corner of that closet there was a gun that was in the case. And this thief was sufficiently unfamiliar with guns to just take the ones that were identified as, you could see they were guns. Mm-hmm. She missed the one that was in a case.
Okay.
Now most hunters, most guys, they can tell a gun whether it's in the case or out. Mm-hmm. This person took the 2 that were in the case and missed the one in the back corner.
Okay, so they missed that 22 you're saying, right?
They missed the 30-06 that I bought about a year ago.
Okay.
And I just bought it because I had some extra money to invest, and actually I've never fired it.
Okay.
I bought it used at the sports place in the Crossroad Mall. Hmm. It was a model that I wanted just for the extra firepower, just in case there's deer 1,000 yards away or whatever. Mm-hmm. And even though I bought it, I'm not a gun nut, and I just haven't fired it yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So in answer to the 22, the reason they didn't get it from the last break-ins is you think they might have missed it, or what? Okay, they missed it. That's my question.
It was in the back of the closet under the clothes and hats. But as thoroughly as they dug through on the more recent visits, they would have found it.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had, Byron,
Okay.
at this point, at this time. So anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. And this concludes the statement. The time is 16:25 hours. This is Sergeant Investigator Jeremy Luberts with the Morris County Sheriff's Office, and the date is 11/24/2012, and the time right now is 12:58 hours. I'm currently in the intoxilizer room at the Morrison County Jail, and currently present with me is Byron Smith, and this will be a continuation, a follow-up interview with Byron. And Byron, just for the record, will you please state your full name and date of birth?
My name is Byron David Smith, and I was born on 11 June 1948.
Okay. Now, Byron, I had talked with you previously. You had been placed under arrest today.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yesterday, whatever.
Yesterday, actually. In fact, it was, yes, on the 23rd. I had previously read you what's called the warning and consent form. Those are your Miranda warning legal rights. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Would you like me, before I talk to you, to reread you these Miranda warning rights?
I remember them from before. That's sufficient.
Okay. So it's fair to say that you remember and understand your rights?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Having these rights in mind, are you willing to answer some more questions that I have for you?
I'm certainly willing to listen to the questions.
Okay. Did you get a chance to talk with an attorney?
Yes, I did. Okay. I talked with Greg on the phone, and basically what he said was that things so far are going well enough.
Okay. Okay. So you said you talked to an attorney. His name was Greg on the phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
While you were up here in the jail?
Greg Larson, yes.
Okay. And this was after I had initially talked to you the first time, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And after speaking to your attorney, are you okay with talking to me now without your attorney present and answer any further questions that I have for you?
Yes, I'm willing to talk with you, even though he's not here now.
Okay. Okay. And you do know that you do have the right to have him present with you at any time during any further questioning that I have. You understand that, right?
I understand that.
And you're willing to waive that right to talk to me, answer some questions?
Yes, I waive that right now.
Okay. Okay. And then, Byron, I just have a few other questions for you in regards to this matter. First question I have for you is, you mentioned that you had a security camera video system set up at your house, correct?
It was a preliminary setup. I was still in the process of doing it, but the cameras have been running for the past week or more.
Okay.
And there are 4 outdoor cameras placed around the house. Because of my previous training in such matters, I believe in having a system that's concealed as well as practical. I'm not totally satisfied with the locations of the cameras, but it's a good start.
Okay. Where were your cameras set up? You say they were all outside, is that correct?
I was monitoring 2 cameras on the basement door, 1 camera on the front living room door, and 1 camera looking at the approach to the main door from the driveway.
Okay.
I have not yet got one installed looking directly at that door.
Okay.
But it's, as I said, it will be an ongoing system for a long while.
Okay. And these cameras were all outside, is that correct?
Yes, they're all outdoors.
Was there any cameras inside the house at all?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Right now I've only got a 4-channel machine hooked up. I'm going to swap it out for an 8-channel machine that I already have.
Okay. And the system you got set up, where's your monitor kept at?
The monitor is in the basement shop on the bench at the outside or south end of the shop.
Okay. And that is the, when I say monitor, I'm referring to a TV monitor that projects what the cameras are showing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a rack mount set of 3 monitors. One of them is only one of them is hooked up because the digital video recorder only has a single monitor output.
Okay.
If any single camera is important, it can be operated as an independent loop-through, but it's not switchable.
Okay. So at the time this incident occurred at your house, when you said these two broke into your house,
Yes.
how many cameras were recording, do you think?
All of them.
All of them. So
Yes.
all of your outside ones. Okay.
Yeah. The system has maybe about 60-hour recycle time, which allows me to review it every other day to see what's happening.
Okay.
And I have found mice in my eaves and squirrels running through and all that kind of stuff. It's got pretty good resolution.
Okay. And then it records onto, you said, it's
a hard drive.
It's a hard drive.
Yeah.
So it's digitally recorded.
Right.
Okay. And then to view this, is there a password or a security code to get into this?
I've already offered to give that to anyone who wants to look at it. I consider it good verification and more accurate than the information I gave earlier.
Okay. Are you willing to share with me the security code
sure.
to get into that?
It's the user password. In fact, I'll give you full instructions on how to pull the information out later. If you want to record them, we can, or we can do it now.
Why don't we go through it now?
Okay. You would unplug the machine and turn it off and unplug it and bring it up here to use it, so that you could, so that you wouldn't have to be working in my house. You could do it under your own circumstances. Have some sort of a digital recorder ready to record the information as it comes off, because you don't want all of it. There'll be just, an hour or two that you want. Mm-hmm. Then the time set on the machine's clock is fairly accurate. It's within a few minutes. So the information is marked by day and date.
Okay.
Time.
Okay.
It's
so you
encoded,
said, I'm sorry, you said it's marked by day and date, correct?
I misspoke on date. It's the day, the number of the day,
okay,
and the time of the day.
Okay.
So that information is digitally encrypted in the signal, so it cannot be corrupted.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why it's a good machine.
Sure.
Anyway, after you get it up here, you turn it on again, and it goes through the boot up cycle, and then it stops doing things, and that means it's fully booted. It's ready to record. Depending on the mode, it might switch into record by itself. Then, what you would do is you'd push buttons until it asks you for the username and password. Select user 1 by pushing button 1.
Okay.
Then the password for user 1 is factory default, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So if 1 is to select user 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, then it gives you menus that are very self-explanatory. One of the reasons why I asked the State Department in our equipment survey to put these machines into the inventory is that it's self-evident enough that you really don't need a manual.
Okay.
But you take the obvious choices until you get to the choice of playback or time-lapse playback. Time-lapse playback will be over in the lower right-hand corner. And you use the up, down, left, right buttons to move the cursor over to that and hit time-lapse playback. Then it will give you time choice, where it can either play the whole thing and you'll waste half your day looking at it, or you can input the start time and go forwards from that, or the stop time and go backwards from that.
Okay. Is that basically it?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And you will at the same time select which camera you want to look at, or if you want to look at the quad view. For your interests, you could do the quad view to determine the areas of interest, and then look at the, and then for more resolution, look at one camera at a time within that. Okay. I considered the machine to be a good choice for people not accustomed to these, because the menus are pretty much self-evident.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, by the way, the 4-channel ones that the State Department cost $5,000. I've been buying these on eBay for $200.
Wow. It's quite a difference.
Yeah.
The now, do you have a cell phone?
Yes, but it's currently not active because the time expired because I don't use it much.
Okay, so what kind of cell phone is it? Is it prepaid?
It's, I got it free as a leftover. When the project shut down, they didn't take in the old cell phones because they were old.
Okay.
And on a $460 million project, who cares about an out-of-date $20 cell phone?
Okay.
So they were abandoned, so I kept mine.
When's the last time you used that cell phone?
I tried to turn it on about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And that's when I found out the time had expired.
Okay.
Or in other words, I hadn't used any for so long that the time, poof.
Okay.
But the only place I'm able to get it filled for free without buying a contract is at Mobile T1.
Okay. Have you refilled this contract or been using it at all?
I'm afraid to make trips to St. Cloud because I'll get raided.
Okay. Okay.
I haven't left town. I haven't gone shopping.
Okay.
I intended to, and I'm sure I will, because it's a nice little phone, smaller than your recorder.
Okay. So it hasn't been functioning or working for, you figure, 2 months, or you turned it on
2 months ago it wasn't working. I don't know when it expired.
Okay. Okay. What's the number for that cell phone?
Oh, sure. 320-296-2043.
Okay. And then, so mostly you've been using the
Totally.
the phone in your home, correct?
Right, the one in the kitchen.
Okay. How many phones do you have in your house?
There are 2 that are plugged in. One in the kitchen, one down in the shop.
Okay. So
there are many phones in the house because I do electronics. I don't have the one in the bedroom plugged in because I don't like getting woken up when I'm sleeping.
Okay. All right. And the bedroom you're referring to where you don't want to be woken up?
The corner bedroom.
Is that, where's that located in the house? Upstairs, downstairs, or where?
It's the northwest corner on the main floor.
Okay.
The house was built as a retirement home. Everything necessary is on the main floor.
Okay. All right. And the bedroom that you showed me that the window was broken out of, is that the one, the
Yes.
bedroom you're referring to that you sleep in?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I don't dare anymore because I'm afraid that Mr. Williams, who occasionally does crazy things when he gets drunk, will come and shoot me in my sleep some night.
Okay.
I'm very worried about that.
Okay. How many vehicles do you own, Byron?
That's a complicated question because I don't use all of them. See, I have a silver Chevy S10 pickup, and I have a Cayenne. Those are the 2 vehicles I keep in the garage. I only use the Cayenne for road trips. It's not a grocery car, it's a heavy car. I inherited a maroon Oldsmobile Cutlass, 94, I think, from my mom, and currently I'm just keeping it because it only has 16,000 miles, is in extremely good condition. I have I also have a 69 Chevy Nova that was running, but a tree fell on it, and restoration is on hold for lack of time.
Okay. How, to clarify with you, how many pickup trucks do you own?
One.
One? And what kind of pickup truck is that?
Silver Chevy S10 95.
Okay. Where is that pickup currently parked at?
It's parked in a cul-de-sac north of my other property, which is the adjacent property to the north.
Okay. This other property, do you remember what road, or where the truck is parked that you said? Do you remember what road that is? You know the name of the road? Okay. How far from your residence that you live at is it parked?
3-minute walk.
About a 3-minute walk? Okay. So are we talking like, how many blocks do you think? How many blocks away?
1.
How many?
1.
1 block? Okay. So fairly close,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Why do you have that vehicle parked over there?
I needed to clean out the garage and I wanted it out of the way for a while.
Okay.
It's time of the year to clean out the garage before it gets too cold to do it.
Okay. And you said, is that where you have where you had the truck parked? Um, is it in front of some property that you own there?
No, it's just out of the way, out of sight. I didn't want it vandalized.
Okay. When did you park that truck there?
Let's see, I was starting to clean up. That would have been Thursday morning.
So Thursday morning, you said you parked it there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh no. That would have been the trigger for them coming to see me. That would have been the trigger. That's why they came. They thought I had gone away.
Okay.
They saw me drive the truck out, and they didn't see me come back because I walked back.
Okay.
And that's why they came.
Okay. So you drove the truck out of your residence that morning, Thursday morning, you said, correct? Which was Thanksgiving morning?
Right.
Okay. And then you drove it over to this cul-de-sac, which I believe is Oak Lane. Does that sound accurate to you?
There is an Oak Lane there, yeah.
Okay. Was this Oak Lane that you parked your truck alongside the road on?
Yes.
Okay. And what time did you go and move your vehicle and park it there? Do you remember?
Mid-morning?
Mid-morning?
Yeah, mid-morning.
Can you give me a rough idea about what time that would be?
I'm guessing a little after 11.
A little after 11
Yeah,
o'clock?
that should be on the videotape. You can get the exact time.
Okay. Okay. So you parked it over there and then you walked back to your house?
Yeah.
Do you own property off of Oak Lane?
No.
Okay.
No, I just wanted it out of the way because I keep my garages locked. I'm worried about vandalism.
Okay. Have you ever parked your vehicle over there before?
No, I haven't.
Prior to this day?
No.
No, you haven't. What made you do it? What made you want to park it over there?
Out of sight.
On Thanksgiving?
Out of the way. Because I wanted it out of the garage, but I'm not leaving anything out where anybody can get to it.
But wouldn't you be afraid somebody would come and break into it while it's parked along the road there?
They're not being raided over there. I'm being raided.
Okay. Oh, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, if it's out of sight, well, the property adjacent to mine was raided at the same time as the last break-in. They kicked in the garage door, they kicked in the basement door.
Okay.
So I couldn't even park it there.
Okay. There was what appeared to be possibly blood in the box, possibly, or on the vehicle. Can you tell me where that would have came from?
Trying to remember. You would have to check to see if it was human blood or beaver blood.
Okay.
I did carry the beaver there, but there wouldn't have been very much.
Okay. Did you ever throw beaver that you had in the box of the pickup or anywhere in the pickup?
Yeah, it's or that section of property is still quite wild. There's a varmint problem too.
Okay.
So if it's more than a month old, it could have been coyote blood, or could have been muskrat blood.
Okay. You mentioned it might have also been human blood. Can you tell me why?
That.
Okay.
I was dripping. I was dripping all over the place. You'll find big pools of my blood on the floor in the basement.
You pointed and referred to that, and I see you got a scab on the top of your head. Is that because you're saying that because if you had an injury to the top of your head, that would have caused the blood?
In fact, specifically, it'd be a week and a half ago now. I was carrying a box up the stairs, and near the top of the stairs, I overbalanced backwards.
Okay.
And I still feel like I've been given a massage with a pair of tire irons. And when I slid down the stairs head first, of course it was my head that struck at the bottom.
Okay. Okay.
And I was dripping off and on throughout the day, so it might be mine.
Okay.
There is no reason whatsoever, though, that it would be either the male or the female that were in the basement.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But
Byron,
I now realize why they came while I was there.
Why is that? Why do you think?
Because they thought I was gone.
Okay. Because of you parking your truck over?
Yeah. I moved the truck out of vandalism range, and so they assumed that I was gone.
Did you have any other vehicles parked out in your yard
No.
after you moved the truck?
I have in the past couple weeks. I had two out in the garage, but I moved them into the three-car garage in the adjacent property.
Okay.
Because I'm hiding everything.
Okay. That pickup of yours, do you typically leave that parked outside when you're home?
I have about half the time during this past summer, yes.
Okay.
Depending upon where things are, what I'm doing, I might park it behind the cedar trees, or in the driveway if I'm going back and forth for things. I use the truck as a work vehicle in the yard. I haul the trailer with it. And,
Okay. Byron, that's all the questions I had at this point. So
I'm shocked that I never realized that.
okay. Byron, this concludes the statement then, and the time is 01:19 hours.